Welcome to our character analysis of Princess Amari from Children of Blood and Bone. In this presentation, we'll explore how Amari evolves from a fearful and sheltered princess into a courageous leader who challenges the violent system that she was born into. Her story is shaped by trauma, loyalty, loss, and the search for identity. And by the end, she becomes one of the most transformative figures in the novel.
Amari's early identity is shaped almost entirely by palace expectations. She grows up as a royal who is constantly monitored, corrected, and molded. Her mother obsesses over her appearance, covering her skin with powders and criticizing her complexion. Her father demands obedience and emotional silence. Because of this environment, Amari learns to shrink herself to survive. Her identity is built on perfection, restraint, and the fear of disappointing her parents. Even though she's a princess, she feels small, invisible, and powerless. Fear surrounds every part of Amari's childhood. She fears her father's temper, his unpredictable punishments, and his strict laws against magic. She fears the palace gossip about her skin color, and she fears speaking up, convinced that any wrong word would put her or someone she loves in danger. This constant anxiety is intensified by King Saran's paranoia, forcing Amari and Inan to train with weapons at a young age and treating them like soldiers instead of children. Amari lives in a palace filled with luxury, yet emotionally, it is a prison built on intimidation.
Binta, Amari's anchor. In this isolating environment, Binta becomes Amari's anchor. She's the only person who makes Amari feel seen, accepted, and loved. Although Binta is technically a servant, Amari never views her that way. Binta is her confidant, her comfort, and her closest friend. Their relationship gives Amari her first experience of unconditional kindness, something she never receives from her parents. Binta symbolizes the life Amari wishes she could have, one where she doesn't have to hide her emotions or constantly be corrected for existing. Catalyst. Binta's death. Binta's death becomes the emotional turning point of Amari's entire life. When King Saran kills Binta in front of her, Amari is forced to confront the brutality of her father's rule. She feels shock, horror, and helplessness, but she also feels guilt. Guilt that she couldn't save Binta, and guilt that she is part of a family that committed such violence. This moment destroys her loyalty to the crown and shatters the identity she was raised to uphold. Binta's death becomes the catalyst that pushes Amari to run away, steal the sacred scroll, and choose a path of resistance. Choosing to rebel. Choosing to rebel is not easy for Amari. She has never fought, never disobeyed, and never lived outside the palace walls. But in the aftermath of Binta's murder, fear no longer controls her.
Amari's relationship with Inan is complicated, full of love, resentment, and pain. Both siblings grew up under the same pressure and fear, but Inan chooses loyalty to their father, whilst Amari chooses independence. The conflict becomes symbolic of the kingdom itself, one sibling protecting the old ways and the other fighting for change. When Amari finally confronts Inan, she forces him to face the truth neither of them wanted to admit, that they turned against each other because they were too afraid to stand up against their father. This moment shows how deeply their trauma runs, but also how far Amari has grown.
Identity conflict. Throughout her journey, Amari struggles with the conflict between who she was raised to be and who she wants to become. She wrestles with the guilt of being a princess, the daughter of a tyrant, and the beneficiary of privilege built on violence. But she also begins embracing her values: empathy, justice, and fairness. As she travels with Zayli and Zayn, she sees Orisha through the eyes of the oppressed. She understands the weight of her family's actions and refuses to repeat their mistakes. This conflict drives her transformation from obedient princess to morally grounded leader. Emergence of leadership. Amari's leadership emerges slowly, but powerfully. She learns to trust her instincts, make difficult decisions, and protect those around her. Unlike her father, she leads with compassion, not fear. Unlike the other nobles, she sees the diviners and the magi as equals. Her leadership is rooted in empathy and the desire to repair the harm done by her family. This makes her a unique kind of royal, one who puts justice above bloodline. Amari's inner strength becomes one of the most inspiring arcs in the entire story. Amari's defining moment. Amari's defining moment comes when she confronts King Saran after a lifetime of fear. In this moment, she refuses to remain a silent daughter or a helpless princess. She chooses to end the cycle of abuse and oppression that has ruled Orisha for years. Her decision to kill her father is not made out of vengeance, but out of necessity, to protect others from the violence she grew up fearing. When she says, "I will make a far better queen," she declares not just her victory, but also her transformation. Transformation. Amari's transformation is one of the most powerful in the entire novel. She evolves from a frightened girl, shaped by fear, silence, and insecurity, into a courageous woman, driven by justice, empathy, and purpose. Her journey shows that bravery isn't about being fearless, it's about choosing to act in spite of fear. Her transformation reflects the heart of the novel, the belief that change is possible, that cycles can be broken, and that even someone raised in darkness can become a source of light. Amari's story is ultimately one of hope, renewal, and the fight for a more compassionate Orisha.